Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Some of you guys may be boating in saltwater environments, or maybe you just got a really old boat and your tongue jack's giving you trouble. Maybe it's got a squeaky noise, or maybe it's just tough to move it up and down. We're going to show you how to upgrade to a new tongue jack, one that we have in the JetBoatPilot store. We have now partnered with West Marine, and some of the things that we are recommending that are available right there, you can add them to your cart, have them shipped directly to your home from JetBoatPilot. So we're using this today on a 25-foot boat, but I really feel like this is great for 24s, 23s, even some 21s and 22s. Maybe not for the 19-foot guys. You can go to something a little smaller. But the big reason we like this jack is because it has a Zerk fitting right here on the side. So if we want to do some servicing over time and greasing, I don't have to take the whole thing apart, which is kind of a pain in the butt to do on the factory one. But this one makes it easy to keep it nice. So we'll show that towards the end of the video. Preparatory steps. I would recommend that either A, put your boat behind your tow vehicle to get the weight off the tongue so you can get the jack up off the ground. If you're doing this and you've got a floor jack, you can do that, forklift, whatever the case, just get the thing up off the ground. We also found that it was probably easiest to get the boat back up off the winch stand a little bit. So we backed our boat off, took it to the water, backed it up a little bit. We've got a few inches now separation so that if we do need to kind of move things around, the boat's not in the way. So first thing we need to do is get the tongue jack off. We won't be reusing this one. So what we've done is we've used a floor jack. You could also use your pickup truck. Just get the weight up off the tongue jack so you can do the swap. We want to make sure we notate where the winch stand is currently set up. Most will have a mark of some sort, but if you want to use a Sharpie or a piece of tape or something just to kind of notate where your winch stand is currently, it's important that it goes back where it was. To get this tongue jack off, this is the factory tongue jack, it mounts to a special mount point on the side of the winch stand. We're going to use a 3/4 inch ratchet and socket. I'm going to come back here on the back side and we're going to loosen these bolts. And we're going to reuse these, so we'll keep them close by. Just want to make sure that they stay on the back side. Want to make sure when you're loosening that the head stays nestled inside. It's got a square feature on the inside that stays nestled. That way when you're backing the nut off, it doesn't rotate that bolt. See that square feature? We have already detached our strap and our safety chain here. So this whole assembly is now able to come off. It may be helpful to have a helper for this. So to pull the factory tongue jack off, use a 3/4 inch socket. Come inside here, break this loose. Now I already broke this loose earlier, just so this will be easy for me to demonstrate, but yours may require quite a lot of force. You may want to set this down on the ground before you start trying to take these bolts off. There's our old jack. One of the things I noticed about the old jack too is the pivot plate, this whole assembly, there's no grease fitting, there's no bearing. So that's bound to just give out over time. It's just not really a high-end tongue jack. The new one going on has a bearing, so it's a better longevity. All right, so we've got that off. We're able to put this back on the boat now. We'll do that now. You notice the marks that were left from the previous winch stand location, the bow stop. We're going to put this right back in the same place. That looks pretty good. Pass our bolts back through. Now, while applying a force on the head, I'm just going to hold it in place. We'll go ahead and tighten this down. All right, for the next step here, we've attached our winch stand. We're going to find a location to mount our new tongue jack, and we've decided this is really the best spot for it here, just aft of the winch stand. Anything forward of there we feel like would be in the way of this swinging tongue here. We don't want to get in the way of that. I don't really want to get too far back here either. Just don't like things being in that zone, so kind of right here is best. The kit, now that we've opened it up, comes with some hardware. Looks like it has some zinc-plated bolts and nylocks, some brackets, as well as instructions. So we'll try to show you what those instructions say. You're going to probably need a 9/16 ratchet and socket, as well as a 9/16 wrench. We're going to find our position first. What we want to do is just make sure when this is in the folded position that it does not impede movement. So if it rolls back this way, does it bump into anything? And I don't think that it will. This is a good spot for it here. Right here, about maybe 3 inches or so aft. Just make sure that you check it first in the stowed position to make sure this wheel's not going to rub up against this frame. Some may ask the question, is this a good spot for it, considering the leg is kind of fully withdrawn, like inside? If that's the concern, you simply flip it. So if it's stowed this way, it can fold either direction. We'll make sure that this handle doesn't rub up, or this top of the body doesn't rub up against this frame here. So either way, I think it would work in this position here. Start by placing the brackets here along the top. I'm just kind of resting it on my knee right now. Now we're going to select the bottom location. All right, now before we tighten it down, we want to slide it back. Our original desired location, roughly 3 inches back or so. I've got 3 fingers here. It's not super critical. If you find that it's wrong, you just loosen the nuts and then adjust it and retighten it, you know. Take our wrenches here, start applying some torque. Don't want to tighten it completely just yet. Just want to do them a little bit at a time. Also, it could be a good idea to have an extension here to help you get into this area where there's a mechanism in the way. What I like to do is have about an equal amount of threads coming out of all 4 nuts. It's a good metric just to make sure that they're about equally distributing the force or the load. That's good. All right, let's crank this down. That's about where it needs to go. What I like about going with a heavier duty tongue jack, this is a 1,500 pound capacity, is it is easier to crank it with one hand as it is on the smaller jack. It just seemed like to me, you gotta use 2 hands a lot of times in order to crank it. So this makes it easier for the user. Well, that's the tongue jack swap out. Hope this video has been helpful to you. If you've got questions about this swap, be it either the servicing portion or the actual replacement, feel free to hit us in the comments below. Be glad to answer those questions for you. Also, we'll put a link in the description below where you can find this tongue jack in the JetBoatPilot store. As I mentioned earlier, JetBoatPilot is now partnered with West Marine. We're very proud to be partnered with them. And we're selling a lot of the West Marine items in the JetBoatPilot store, so we're glad to help you with those things as well. We appreciate you watching this video. And by the way, if this one was helpful to you, check this one out.